MindsEye, we did some reactions to it because it's fascinating. This story is fascinating. I mean, there's the obvious jokes that kind of write themselves. People are like, oh, well, it looks like a video game somebody's playing in the background of a movie, you know, where it's like supposed to be GTA, but it's not. It does kind of give off that vibe. In the video I did on the big channel, just Luke Stevens, I talked about this and I tried to break it down because everything with this game is really bizarre. Basically, broad strokes, really, really simple. Before we talk about the specific thing I want to bring up, this was supposed to be part of a project called Everywhere. Everywhere was announced originally in 2022, and then it was officially revealed with more detail in 2023. But like, this is one of the original trailers. You see it's everywhere, and it's this like Fortnite-esque platform for building your own little games and experiences. Basically what they wanted to do is have you load into one game, and that game has a racing mode, that game has a building mode, that game has a parkour mode, a concert mode, a social mode, a battle royale mode. It's starting to sound a lot like Fortnite, right? Well, they showed off this trailer with a bunch of these little snippets and stuff, and then at the very end of the trailer this happens. Okay, it kind of glitches out. People are like, what? What was that? Why is Lincoln Clay in your trailer? Well, it's because what they wanted to do with Everywhere was also have like actual games released within Everywhere as a platform. And what's really telling is at some point this changed. And I think it's because they ran out of money. And I think it's also because Everywhere was originally going to monetize through like NFTs. And I think that's how they got a lot of money, I think, allegedly. Knock on wood. But basically what happened is NFTs went belly up. And the reason I say that is because the whole announcement was really weird initially. This is more of a gut check thing. I think their idea was we release Everywhere, this Fortnite-esque platform, and then you can buy NFTs that we will sell and have a marketplace for. And that will be skins and stuff that are transferable between the different modes. So you have a skin that's in the racing mode. You can bring that into the MindsEye mode. You can bring it into all these different sections of the game, and they spread everywhere. And again, they haven't ever said NFTs. This is just a hunch by me. I want to be very, very clear about this. It's just the vibe I'm getting. Maybe it wasn't going to work that way, but it really, like, it's got that stink on it, you know? It's got that stink. It's just my opinion. But with this, something changed at some point. They decided to step away from the Everywhere project. And how do I know this? Well, if we type in everywhere.game, which is literally what's on screen, what happens? It redirects to MindsEye.game. So they pivoted away from the Everywhere platform, and now it is MindsEye. And this is what they're putting out. Now, the project itself has a lot of high quality talent behind it. You know, it's being made by former Rockstar devs, and nobody's doubting that. The previews though were very, very negative. The previews from Maddie and Spawnwave and plenty of other people that were there too said it was a digital event streamed through Microsoft Teams, which the fact anybody is using that willingly is amazing to me. But they streamed video through Microsoft Teams of gameplay, and they said it was dropping frames like crazy. It was super glitchy, and there were two different occasions in the preview demo that they did where they had to turn on God mode to progress because it was so broken. I've never in my life heard of that happening in any preview, much less one I've ever attended, but it happened twice in these previews, like less than a month from launch. They were having to turn on God mode, invincibility, to progress through quests because they were so broken. Not a great thing. Not great. It's allegedly 15 hours long. It's going to cost $60. But what I want to point out is actually a comment from a viewer on one of our last, or on the video that we put out on MindsEye. Killer111 said this: guys, I'm getting the feeling that there's no actual game here. Pause and read everything at 2835, which is what this freeze frame is. I'll show you in a second. How exactly is single player free roam content that is included at launch? Isn't that, you know, the game? Then there's 2 combat missions, a bunch of races, and nothing else until the summer and fall roadmap, all promising new missions. And what he's referring to is this. This is the content roadmap that they released, okay? This is it, because they wanted to say this game is going to get better as it ages. It's going to continue to grow and thrive, right? Play MindsEye missions, single player free roam, okay? That's at launch. The launch feature is single player free roam. Now, what I think this means is that the base game for the story mode is like mission to mission to mission. It has a large map, but you're not allowed to free roam it. It's specifically for the missions, kind of like the very linear stuff in Mafia, like Definitive Edition, if you think of it that way. And so one of the features they're adding and selling to you as a perk of getting the game at launch is that it will have free roam available. So outside of the story missions, you can free roam. That's a selling point. Beyond that, this is what's also confusing. This is part of the free pass, by the way. So they have a free pass and a premium pass with separate content. This is what I don't understand. Play.MindsEye missions. I believe these are the missions as part of their builder. So like what Everywhere was supposed to be, where you can build your own modes and build your own levels and stuff. They've moved a lot of that into this. And now those are like horde mode, combat mission, friendly fire, honor amongst thieves, and destruction site shootout. So these are also selling points. They also have races, these races listed, checkpoint races here, and drone races. And again, what feels weird is that like this really feels like it should just be like in the game. Like imagine if for The Witcher 4, they listed off each of the side quest names as like a selling point for the launch plan, the roadmap of the game. You'd be like, thought this was just the game. Like, what do you mean this is part, like, it's just weird, you know? It just is weird. Behind my beautiful mug, you can see for the summer, they plan on having special collaboration, community updates, and new missions. The new single player modes, whatever that means. I mean, maybe more horde modes or something. Multiplayer will be added, new missions, and behind me, free roam updates for the fall or for the winter. Or maybe it's 2026. It might be 2026. It seems weird to have free roam updates as part of your roadmap. Does it not feel weird? Like, it's really starting to feel like the game's not done and they're just going to be like, this is what you see in an early access launch. This is the kind of stuff you see where it's like, hey, end of Q4 2025, we're going to be bringing these new races, and then at Q1 2026 we're going to bring multiplayer, and then Q2 2026 we're going to do free roam updates and fix some of the world building stuff. Like, this is what you see in an early access game, not in a game that's launching on June 10th for $60 allegedly as a complete product, you know. Beyond that, horde mode mission, exotic pack, there will be a premium pass that includes an exclusive mission as part of the horde mode, which is part of the play.MindsEye missions, which is like a separate thing. It's getting confusing. And then of course, you know, dedicated skins, you get extra missions, a new pack, I'm guessing of cosmetics. And then in the fall, you'll get extra missions and a new pack. And then in the winter, next year, you'll get extra missions and a new pack. Again, it's weird for a single player game to be described this way, in my opinion. And Killer111, Taylor, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, by the way. Thank you and welcome everybody. At the very end, he says, seriously, this game might just be a platform/launcher under which they expect the community to more or less asset flip missions together until the actual single player is finished and bolted onto it. It's going to be wild if I'm right. And I think that this is precisely what's happening. This was originally supposed to be a platform which you can just jump into and play 15 different modes. And like, as a platform, Fortnite nowadays, I would pull it up if I had it downloaded, but Fortnite as a platform is really cool, honestly. Like, they have Lego Fortnite, they have Fortnite build mode, Fortnite no build mode. They have the concert venue thing where you can like listen to concerts performed by musicians like in the game itself. You can, what else do they have? They have like, you know, private servers, private matches, private game modes. They of course brought like their own only up mode into the game. They have like a Subway Surfer mode. Like, they have crazy amounts of content in that game, all under the umbrella of Fortnite, right? But the reason they get to do that is because they had a wildly successful battle royale that made billions of dollars, and that funded the building of that platform. This project, Everywhere, MindsEye, whatever it is now, has not had that luxury afforded to them. You know, they are hoping that MindsEye makes tons of money and that they can then use that to continue building the platform. But I do think it's telling that for years it was Everywhere MindsEye, and now it's just MindsEye, and they've kind of cut Everywhere out of it. And I think it's because the reaction was not great. One of the other things I touched on in that video on the big channel was that they did a play test in, I believe it was late 2023, like December of 2023. And then in February of 2024, they had a bunch of layoffs. And that playtest was specifically for the Everywhere platform. So my sneaking suspicion, my gut is telling me that they had a playtest for the Everywhere platform in late 23. It didn't go well. People were like, yeah, I can't see using this. I don't think it's very fun. I don't see spending money on this. Fortnite's just better. Like, I don't see using it. And then they laid off a bunch of people, pivoted in early 2024, and decided instead to focus on MindsEye, and that this would just be a standalone game. Like, okay, that was experimental. Let's build it into MindsEye and then maybe spin it off from there. And they decided to put all those eggs in that basket. But now that they were pivoting away from this Fortnite-esque platform and they were just making a traditional video game, a lot of investors started to get frustrated and pull their money because they were like, I invested in a Fortnite platform, not in just like an action adventure game. So I'm not giving you more money. And now they're desperate. They have to get it out because they're running out of money to fund things, and they've got to get it done by June 10th. So that's my guess. That's my guess. Maybe this ends up launching and it's wildly successful. Maybe it ends up launching and it does, you know, it makes Night Rain look silly, and it does like 5 million copies in a single day, and it's got 1 million concurrent play. Like, who knows? Maybe. I wouldn't say it's likely, but maybe. But I think overwhelmingly more likely is that this game is actually just like what it appears to be, which is something that was originally kind of a side project to be tacked on to the big platform that was eventually promoted into the big standalone project while the platform was set aside. And now they're just trying to scrape it together to get it out the door. Because again, like, in order to believe that this ends up being the former, that it ends up being super polished and amazing and great and everything they're promising, you have to assert that the previews were the worst, most disastrous and unlucky previews of all time. Like, do you have any idea how insane it would be for a preview to go so badly after all the prep and practice and you know, things that they go through preparing a preview for press, that they had bugs galore, they had terrible performance on the hardware, even after all of their rehearsals, and that they then also had to go in and turn on God mode because it was so broken a month out from launch. But then you're going to claim that, no, it's actually, it runs really well. We were just unlucky that day, or we forgot to update our graphics driver or something. Like, not so sure. Not so sure. The last overdue Bachelor. That's funny. Thank you for the 10. Positive vibes from Virginia. MindsEye gives me Driver Parallel Lines vibes. Funny how Abandoned was Abandoned too. Just a week left and still no console gameplay. Should I wait or skip the letdown? As always, I think you just, like, you don't touch it. Don't give them your money until they've earned it. And with this, I don't think they've earned it. Like, they've shown a couple of snippets of gameplay, and the snippets of gameplay they show, there's something off with it. Everybody's been like, there's just something off with it. But the people who have seen unedited, uncarefully selected gameplay, they all overwhelmingly agree that it was not ready for prime time. It was not ready, you know? And, you know, at some point, if there's smoke, there's usually a fire. And in the case of MindsEye, there's a whole hell of a lot of smoke. And I think that's a problem. I think it's a problem. So don't give them your money until they've earned it. That's all I'm saying. What's funny is that the CEO of the company now is alleging that content creators and YouTubers talking about their game negatively are being paid off to do it and are being paid. And he doesn't want to say Rockstar, but he's like, it doesn't take a genius to figure out who would be doing this, you know? And I can't believe I have to say this. I'm not being paid by Rockstar to talk down your game that looks bad because they're secretly like so scared of MindsEye releasing a year before their game that they're trying to like pay people to talk it down. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't think he even believes that, but if he does, God dang it. Like, can you imagine how delusional you have to be like, our game that looks super broken and people don't think looks very good because it needs a delay desperately. Our game is such a threat to Grand Theft Auto 6 that releases a year from now that they're paying off YouTubers and streamers to talk badly about it. What? Even if your game looked like a masterpiece, why would Rockstar care? Their game launches a year from now. You know, like, what are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense at all. But, you know, it's too bad because there's apparently a lot of very talented people that work at Build a Rocket Boy and are just suffering under really crappy leadership. And if your leadership is so obtuse that they would rather believe there is a global conspiracy against them than that maybe they screwed up, I don't think there's any hope for you at that point. I don't think there's any hope for that manager. I think the easiest explanation is that they're dinguses. That is fair. I think that's totally fair. Totally fair. Well, you can always tell when somebody's full on delusional because they'll start to go for conspiracies before they'll go for like the plainly obvious explanation. Yeah, the whole thing is dumb, but anyway. Why though? Because it's an ego problem for a lot of these guys. Like, they've worked on this, I believe since 2018 is when they started work on the Everywhere platform. So they've spent close to a decade of their lives on this and it's gone nowhere. And I don't blame them for being frustrated about that and being like PO'd, but what are you going to do? At some point, it's not our fault, you know? He took my thing. Red flag.